Welcome back to another installment of Professor Charles's Law. Shooby-doo-doo-doo. Oh, yeah. Hello, guys. Welcome back to another installment of Professor Charles Live. Let's get this party started. So today's episode is on episode 4 of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The whole world's watching is the name of the episode. So let's get into this episode. So first off, this episode takes 6 years before in Wakanda, and we see Bucky. Bucky's a little bit in a different place than what he is in now to some extent. But let's talk about it. So we see Bucky talking to Aya, which is Adora Lamaj from Wakanda. And pretty much it seems like he's going through like a deprogramming phase because let's be honest, Bucky has been through a lot as the Winter Soldier. And we see Bucky pretty much having all these flashbacks, killing Tony Stark's parents, encountering his best friend, Captain America, the original Steve Rogers, being brainwashed by Hydra, killing civilians. I'm like, man, you see all the trauma that Bucky goes through in this episode. You're like, I see why he's the way he is, like his demeanor and how he kind of views things. You can understand why he feels the way he feels. And we see her kind of like pretty much saying, hey, it's over with. And we can see a sigh of relief from Bucky, like literally crying. I was like, wow, man, all this inside you and you feel this type of way. You know what I'm saying? It's like Bucky had pretty much he feels like it's done. All the things that he worried about, all this trauma, all these different things going on. And we see him finally let it out, you know what I'm saying, have all that emotion build in him. But also in this episode, we see them trying to find out where Carly is, and the reason for that is because Danya is someone that Zemo knew. So Zemo seemed like he had a relationship with Danya. We don't know exactly what type of relationship, but I'm assuming that she may have knew of Zemo, but we know that Zemo is very cunning. I like Zemo. And Zemo, he goes and does this Dutch lullaby because Sam and Bucky are having a hard time talking to the people in the other country, which they consider refugees. And they had no luck talking to the adults. The adults did not want to say nothing. Bucky tried talking, Sam tried talking, they failed. Boy, if it wasn't for Zemo, we can see that Zemo is like, look, bro, I got this. Look, y'all stand back. Let me handle it. And we see Zemo have a big bag of something. I didn't expect it to be candy, but I was like, oh, okay, Zemo out here, got the kids gathering around to talk to him. And it's this particular little girl in particular that, she gets the candy. He said, hey, look, I need to ask you something. He's like, do you know where my friend Danya's funeral is being held? And I was like, dang, bruh, Zemo got the kid blood, bruh. I was like, what? So she tells him the information, but that came with a price, and I'm going to talk about that in the other part of this video. And I was like, wow. And it was so funny because Sam and Bucky just looked confused, like, bro, why we didn't think of that? Like, since the adults won't talk to us, why didn't we try to talk to the kids? That would have been the best explanation, right? But also in this episode, we see the new Captain America a little furious, man, and it's interesting with him because he's like, where's Carly? He's on this mission. Like, I think with him, he's trying to live in Steve's shadow so much. That's what I noticed in this episode, the way he throws the shield, his, patriotic, side to him, this goody two shoes at them. I'm like, bruh, ain't nobody buying that. Even Bucky was like, I ain't buying him being the new Captain America. And you can understand because that was Bucky's best friend, but also the original, And the thing is, it's like, it's something about him that I just like, he's funny acting. But also we see them come to disagreements because when it came to when they found out where Carly was, pretty much Bucky and Sam were kind of on the same page. Even Lamar, the new Cap's buddy was like, I'm with them on this. Like, let Sam, also known as Falcon, talk about this. So we see that Carly is at this lady Danya that was like her mother to her. I kind of figured like she's was like a mother to her or something like that brought her in to carry her and everything, speaking at her ceremony. And it's so funny because Sam talks about TT, and that's another name for aunt. Like, yeah, TT's funeral and stuff. But we see that Sam had empathy for Carly. He wanted to understand why she was doing the things she were doing. And it's interesting because we learn with Carly, she doesn't see herself as a supremacist at all. She sees herself as a revolutionary for the country that she lived in. I was like, wow. And we start to see a different side of Carly. Her letting someone in, even though they're from another nation that she feels that's against the people that's in her nation. I was like, okay, Carly. But it was interesting. We also understand that Carly had trust in Sam. I think if Bucky or Chris Walker, also known as the new Captain America, would have kind of approached Carly, it would have been a different approach. They probably would have tried to kill her. Okay? We know she's the new super soldier, and the leader of the Flash Smashers, and a young one at that. My God, but I think the approach wouldn't have worked. But then, Chris ruins it. He's like, 10 minutes is up. And you can see that Bucky's like, nah, bruh, let Sam handle the business. And I think at some point, Sam was definitely some type of therapist. Because he's like, let me talk to her. I'll figure out what's going on with her and everything. But Carly also seems like a anarchist. That's the other thing I kind of got from Carly. She's kind of against the big corporations and everything. And maybe because the distrust of people coming from other countries say, hey, we're going to bring in supplies and food. And, it's not the case. It's war and just people dying left and right. So we could kind of understand Carly's kind of like her ideology when it comes to this. She's kind of an anarchist. She doesn't like the corporations. She let that be known. And we can see that Sam was like, look, everyone's not trying to kill or start wars with one another. You know what I'm saying? And I like that Sam, also known as Falcon, has, trying to show her a different perspective. But also in this episode, we see Zemo. Let's talk about Zemo. Zemo doesn't see any good in Carly. He's like, hey, look, she's a super soldier. She's not Steve Rogers, the original Captain America. I don't know what you think and thinking that she's really going to, change her ways. Once you're a super soldier, you pretty much are a destructive one. And we all know that because we've seen that with Bucky. Bucky was brainwashed by Hydra. He killed different people along the way, whether they were, people that were a target or not, And I think with this, Zemo's like, we don't need any more guys. Y'all praise the original Captain America as a god. Why do we need this? You know what I'm saying? Because now you're giving a false sense of self with this society, you know what I'm saying? And also, this is not going to help. So we see that there is differences between Sam and Bucky, and also Zemo. We see that there's definitely a divide amongst them. But also in this episode is a funny moment. Oh my God. When they had the second encounter with the Dora Milaje. So Aya comes back. Aya is displeased with Bucky, and the other Captain America, Chris Walker's there with Lamar, his buddy, and man, oh man, it got bad. And it was crazy because, Sam tried to warn her and say, hey, look, man, you can play with Bucky like that. You don't want to mess with the Dora Milaje like that from Wakanda. You don't want them problems, bro. You don't want them problems. Soon as Chris, literally threw his hand up on that, I said, on the shoulder. No, bro. No. Dora Milaje, she had her people with her. What? Talk about a crazy fight scene. And I was just like, you a messed up, Chris, bruh. Yeah, I guess you want to be the new Captain America, bruh, but you don't want them problems. Aya lost it. You know, he talked about her spear and stuff. Yeah, with your little pointy spear, you know, being kind of a douchebag or patriotic as he actually is. And I'm just like, nah, you don't want them problems, bruh. And boy, that fight broke out, man. Dora Milaje was giving it, man. They was tagging Chris Lamar. I was like, oh my God. And I love how Bucky's like, hey, look, Bucky's like a mentor, like, hey, look, man, you know, hey, do this, do that. I was like, Bucky, bruh. And I actually felt bad for Bucky because Bucky got disassembled. Like, they did the little pressure points and this arm came out. I was like, oh my God, they took my man's arm off. Like, oh. And you know, you can see that Aya is still upset because she felt like she trusted Bucky. For one, she helped Bucky get through all the trauma and all his demons and stuff like that. And the problem was you didn't fall through with keeping Zemo in jail. She's like, why did you let him go? He said, this is the only way we're going to find out where Carly is. You know, so I was like, you know, and now the bond is kind of on the rocky side of things because she's lost maybe some trust in Bucky because she didn't think Bucky would go this far to let out the killer of King T'Chaka, the original king, not T'Challa. Because we remember, Bucky was framed for killing King T'Chaka. It was Zemo that killed him in Civil War. So, you know, this episode was good. But also in this episode, we saw some other things I was not expecting. I was like, yo! So let's get back into them finding Carly again. So this time, when they find Carly for the second time, this was interesting. Also, Zemo escaped, you know, when the situation came with the 10 minutes. I forgot to mention that. And destroyed some of the serums. And there was only one left thanks to the other Captain America. But Carly was smart. She hid the serums in a smart place, the graveyard. No one's going to look for a super serum at the graveyard. But also in this episode, we see that pretty much with the second encounter of Carly, it wasn't as bad. We see Bucky kind of saying, hey, look, I'm coming with you this time, Sam. You know, just in case things kind of take off. And we see that Carly has threatened Sam's not sister, but his two nephews. And he's like, hey, why did you do that? You know what I'm saying? Why did you call my sister and threaten to kill my nephews? And we see this is when Carly explains, like, I'm not a supremacist. I'm a revolutionary. That's what she considered herself. She's like, look, I'm the leader of the Flag Smashers. Okay. But the thing is, don't put me in the supremacist category. And, you know, I can see why she has a meaning. Her actual ideology is that, hey, look, we're all one people, you know what I'm saying, across the globe, you know, and that's kind of her ideology. Also, that she's an anarchist to some extent too, because she's against the corporations, authority. But in this episode, we see that Carly also, her still not trusting Sam due to the other situation when Chris rushed in, thanks to him, the new Captain America. But in this episode, we also experienced 2 deaths. So let's get to these deaths in this episode too. Also in this episode, we see Chris actually did take the serum. When they encountered Carly the second time, Lamar got ambushed, they kidnapped them. I love the fight between Bucky, Falcon, and Winter Soldier. I love that, you know what I'm saying? Well, excuse me, not Bucky. Falcon, Winter Soldier, and pretty much Chris. It was a very interesting fighting sequence between the 3. We noticed that, yes, Chris eventually took the serum to be the new Captain America when he bent something, a piece of metal in half against the Flag Smashers. Battle was nice. I like how it was executed. The Flag Smashers, they had like a sneak tactic, came down, fought them. But also in this episode, we see Lamar take an L. And Lamar ends up getting killed accidentally by Carly. I don't think Carly meant to kill Lamar, but boy, oh boy, when Lamar died, you should have seen the look on the new Captain America's face. I was like, uh-oh. His demeanor And when I mean he did the original Steve Rogers Captain America dash through a glass window and jumped on a car, I said, boy, you always talking about, oh, I'm not Cap, I'm not Steve, I'm not Tony Stark. I'm like, bro, get out of here with that. So we see him furious. At first, he's kind of trying to figure out, he's like, hey, trying to figure out if his buddy is still alive or not, right? But then we see him like kind of get angry and just his whole demeanor changes. And like I said, he jumps out of a window onto a vehicle and goes after a Flash Smasher that's not Carly. And this was interesting because the Flash Smasher said, yo, I didn't kill him. I did not kill him. It was not me. And he didn't listen. He just said, all right, screw this. I'm going to kill you with my cap shield. He was, woo, woo, woo. And I was like, oh my God. And then what made it so bad was, I'm like, if you're the new Captain America, all eyes is on him. Literally, there's people around where he's killed this Flash Smasher. And I felt so bad for Carly because we see Carly like in distraught. You're just like, oh my God, So we lost two people in this episode. Lamar, the new Cap's, sidekick. And we also a Flash Smasher. But also now, how is Carly going to deal with this? Look like Carly was upset and then just surprised that, Chris Walker would kill one of the Flash Smashers. You know what I'm saying? We even see Falcon and Winter Solider, and they looked too like they were shocked. They probably didn't think he was that type of person, but you never know when you do something to somebody else, it comes with consequences. So he felt like, oh, she killed my buddy Lamar, so guess what? I'm going to kill her buddy too. And I was just like, ew. And you could see like all the people like taking pictures, recording it. So it's going to look bad for Chris in the next episode. But I got to say, this episode was really good. We got a chance to learn a little bit more about Bucky. We learned about the Dora Milaje. You don't want to make them mad. You know what I'm saying? We also learned about Carly's ideology and just who she is. We also learned that Sam showing empathy to Carly despite him not believing in Zemo's ways of doing things. Because Zemo, let me just say this, Zemo was trying to kill her. Zemo like, screw all this. If Zemo had shot her, that's it, boy. If that other Cap had came in time, Carly would have been shot up. Because Zemo wouldn't have it. Zemo like, skip all this. Y'all talking about keeping her alive. She gonna be like the next Steve Rogers. Not with Zemo. Nah. But this is my review on it. Have you seen the latest episode of the Falcon and the Winter Solider? Until next time, guys, have a great day. And I'm out. Excuse me.
Subscribe, comment, like. Thanks for watching.